Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I decided to do the line art for some hands that I had drawn a couple days ago. I'm sorry in advance for my voice, I am just getting over a cold, so bear with me. Every once in a while, I get the itch to draw hands again, so it's just that time. It's kind of funny because if I'm drawing like a whole body with hands, they don't turn out as good, but when they are the sole focus, I actually do quite well on them. So this first hand was one of my least favorite just because it didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it to, and I feel like the palm was too square where it should have been more round, but oh well. I don't know why, but just watching somebody draw hands is so satisfying to me, so I decided to make a video on it. Let me know down below if y'all want to see the sketching process of hands. As always, I just used my pink Colorase colored pencil to do the sketching. I used my Micron to do the line art on this, and I had a 0.1 fine liner that I also used for smaller details. Later, I went back in with my Posca pen and outlined the hands that I liked the most on the page, just so everything didn't look like it was the same liner, and so that those hands stood out a little bit more. So when I'm drawing hands, I start out with like a trapezoid shape, and then I go in and draw lines for the fingers at first, and then use circles to create more depth in the fingers. I don't draw fingernails on my hands just because I feel like they look better without them, and that's just my personal preference. It would probably be easier to tell which side of the hand it is and the perspective if I did draw them, but I'm not worried about that. Also, who's getting excited about the Inktober prompt list? Because it's out already, and I honestly can't wait. I've started to sketch out the ideas, and I'll definitely put a video on that and how I draw them out. But yeah, hopefully this year I can get the 30 days done with, or very close to 30 days, because in the past years I've only gotten to like day 10 before I've decided to quit. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that this year's the year that I almost get them all done. I will be posting a lot of Instagram reels on all my Inktober prompts on my Instagram, so go follow that if you want to see more. So in my old sketchbook where I drew hands, I didn't really draw two hands together. So on this spread, I wanted to at least try that. So I did this one and another one where the hands were together, and I actually ended up liking how they turned out. In my old sketchbook, it was a smaller sketchbook, so I didn't have as much room as I do on this one. So I was able to do different types of hands and more poses than I was in my smaller sketchbook. This video is going to be a little bit shorter than the other ones that I've done, but that's just because I'm only doing line art on these sketches. I actually found that I had the most fun on the hands that included two hands in the picture, like the one holding hands and the heart hands were actually extremely fun to draw and just a little bit challenging. One tip I recommend is to try to draw really simple shapes at first and then go in and refine the details and the fingers and such. By keeping it simple, it won't make you overwhelmed when drawing hands and it'll get you the results you're looking for. Honestly, I'm kind of proud of this hand because I never do drawings in the seam of my sketchbook just because they normally don't line up and sometimes end up wonky. So I was happy with how this one turned out because I feel like it still looks like a hand even though I drew it in the seam of my sketchbook. Because I do have the Illo sketchbook that lays flat, I feel like I should be drawing in this seam more often because that's kind of like one of the pros of having this sketchbook, so I try to do that in this sketch. By doing this, I feel like it just made the page more cohesive because there wasn't that big gap in the very middle. It all looked like it flowed. I think the next time I draw hands, I'm going to try to find really challenging poses and just really weird looking ones so that I am able to really practice those shapes and get those right. Because I feel like if I can draw more challenging hands, then it'll make the simpler poses easier. I will probably also put more props in hands like coffee cups, pens, phones, etc. Kind of like I did with the lollipop because I liked how that turned out. So I think out of the whole spread, these were my favorite hands to draw just because I felt like they were challenging to draw because the hands were overlapping, but I love how it turned out. When I did draw this hand, it was a very, very quick sketch because I was kind of getting tired of drawing hands at that point, but it actually ended up working out because I simplified stuff and I didn't erase as much, and I think I was finally understanding how to draw hands. But I mainly decided to draw this hand because it did have the sucker in its hand, because I was feeling like my page was looking too samey with just hands, so I wanted a hand to be holding something. I feel like the faults in this hand were the fingers were not close enough together. I feel like they should be overlapping more, so they just kind of look weird and spread out. But honestly, it's not bad. It still looks like a hand. It's just not my favorite. For this whole sketchbook layout, I looked for hands that would fit in the space that I had, and I think that's the reason that it looks so full, is because I was able to fill small spaces with hands and not have as much blank white spots. So each reference was chosen to specifically fit in that spot of the sketchbook. I really like the action portrayed in this hand because it doesn't seem very stiff, it just seems very fluid, and I like that I was able to capture that. With this sketchbook spread, if I drew a hand facing downwards, I always tried to draw one also facing upwards beside it, so that you just didn't get the same type of hands. I think the next video that I do draw hands, I'm going to challenge myself with actually coloring them so I can get better with skin tones, because that's also something I struggle with. Honestly, I just enjoyed making this video so much, and I hope y'all enjoyed it too. So if you made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe. But yeah, here's the finished sketchbook spread.